Hey to the most amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. So welcome back, everybody. So we've got a new podcast episode. It's going to be amazing, okay? Because I've heard the deal is amazing, and I heard through my friend Kim. And most of you know that Kim is one of my friends that I really, really value a lot. And so whenever she tells me that I need to interview someone, I say, well, okay, let's go do that. So I just ask that you like, share, comment, tell us what we're doing good, bad, or indifferent, and then we can move forward, okay? So now let's talk with Dale. Dale, tell us who you are in your own words.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate this opportunity to kind of share my story and kind of tell you guys what I'm about, what I do. So I grew up in San Diego, California. I was born in Tarzana. Grew up in the ocean. I was always surfing, skating, and I just loved hanging out at the beach and just goofing off, having a good time. And then once I got out of high school, I worked on the ambulance for a little bit. I enjoyed helping people and kind of the rush of, emergencies. And then I kind of drifted away from the EMS aspect of things. And I kind of enjoyed the idea of the clinical side of it and kind of the medical knowledge at the cellular level and how to help people in the hospital setting instead of the pre-hospital setting. So eventually I went to nursing school. And I graduated in 2016 from Palomar College in San Marcos. And then I had never intended to leave California. I thought I was going to be there forever. And that was going to be my forever home and everything was great. And then I just talked to my wife and we said, you know what, we've never been outside of California, or at least I haven't. And she's from Texas. But I said, why don't we just give it a try? If worse comes to worse, we can come back here. We got family, no problem. So we head out to South Dakota. And we lived there for 7 years and we really enjoyed it. That's where I began my nursing career in a trauma center there. It was actually the busiest trauma center in the state. And I got a lot of great experience, got to meet a lot of really, really interesting people and make some good connections and learn a ton of knowledge there. So I was really grateful for that opportunity. And to be able to enjoy the Black Hills and Custer State Park is one of the most gorgeous places in America. I love it. I just love it so much. But we felt we weren't really growing there after a little while. We kind of felt like we got stagnant and we kind of felt like we were being called in a new direction and we weren't as happy as when we first got out there. And then we expanded our family in the meantime. So we eventually just up and came out to South Carolina in Myrtle Beach here. Now we got to build our forever home, our dream home, and we love it out here. But I should back up a little bit because the big parts of the story before I went to nursing school, unfortunately, the summer before, just a couple of months before I started the program, my first son, my daughter was 5 at the time. We only had her, and my first son was born as a micro preemie. He was a 23-weeker. And
you getting all into the story now. I got to ask you these questions, okay? So I want to ask. So who are you now, though?
Gotcha.
Who are you now? All right.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. So now I'm just a traveling ER nurse. I'm grateful for the place I get to work at now because I was getting burned out since COVID. Mm-hmm. And my family and I are just enjoying living by the beach again and enjoying everything that Myrtle Beach and the South has to offer. I love food. I mean, I'm crazy about food. My colleagues always laugh at me because they see me eating like 10 times a day, and I'm just like, I love Southern cooking. It's great. And so and I enjoy that. I enjoy being active outside. My family and I love the ocean. I love spending time, in the ocean, fishing, surfing, and all that fun stuff. And they just love it out here. Everybody's thriving. A lot of people are relocating to this area. And unfortunately, I've also been blessed with the opportunity recently to become a licensed financial professional. So now I'm able to branch out away from nursing and be able to help people be able to assess clients' individual needs and provide fiscal solutions for them and their families. I can help people retire very comfortably and help them retire tax-free and penalty-free. And we can also help provide protections for them and their families and create generational wealth for them. And so I'm really, really excited for that opportunity. I didn't come from a financial background. I knew nothing about it. And now we're being trained from the ground up. A lot of the agents do it on the side. Most of us are healthcare workers, either RNs, NPs, PAs, rad techs, LPNs, that sort of thing. And they do pretty well just having a part-time income working from home. But some of us have loved it so much they've went all in and just hit the ground running, and they've been able to replace their income, double, triple, sometimes quadruple. Some of us in the business are making 7-figure incomes. They get to travel the world. They get to educate. They reach out to millions of new clients and help countless families. And so we're on a mission. We just want to educate people. We want to provide a safe and comfortable way for people to retire, so they don't have to be part of the 20% of the workforce that goes back and maybe be a Walmart greeter or work at Lowe's or something, and to be able to protect their families and just live comfortably and happy. So I'm very, very, very excited about this.
Sweet. So now let's go back, because we're gonna go all the way back to your pre-nursing days. And so you worked EMS. Were you a paramedic, EMT? What were you?
EMT.
EMT.
Mm-hmm.
And so what made you decide to transition from being an EMT to being a nurse? Because I don't know how y'all do it. Okay, that whole 24 hours. I don't know if that's the way that it worked out in California, but here it's 24-hour shifts, and you're on, you're off, you're on, you're off. Ain't nobody got time for that. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. At the time, actually, it was 24 hours in a 48-hour shift in a week. So we worked a lot. We actually worked, I think, more than full-time firefighters did. But I mean, most of us were young. We didn't care. We just liked the experience. The money was good for, being a young kid, basically, with, minimal college education and training. And I also had a part-time job working at a rec center. I got to work in an after-school program and had a lot of fun there too. So I wasn't passionate about it. I just didn't really feel like I was being called to stay in that profession and to continue with, like, say, firefighting or, paramedic and that sort of thing. So I had a buddy who I worked on the ambulance with. He became an RN a couple of years before I did, and he really loved it. And he is a really, really smart guy. And I thought, I'm really being drawn to this. And I like what you guys are able to do for your patients. And I like the knowledge and the information you guys learn. And so I just went for it. I just said, you know what? I made up my mind, and I just went all in, and the rest is history.
So the stigma of women being nurses, that never deterred you?
No, not at all. Even back then when I first started, I've always worked with people and been under the, worked underneath men, women, people of different cultures, different backgrounds. And I didn't really care. I don't care, who you are, what you are, what you come from, as long as we're all working together, as long as we're all collaborating and working as a team. And it didn't deter me at all. I work under so many amazing, female nurses, charge nurses, supervisors, and we all get along amazingly. And I love it. I love the team that I'm with right now, and I'm very, very blessed.
I love it. Okay, now let's get back to your son. So so tell me the story about you and your son and losing your son. Tell us that story.
Right. So a couple of months before I started nursing school, my son, like I said, he was born a micropreemie at 23 weeks, and he survived 2 weeks. We were taken care of by, and that was actually one of the things that helped inspire me to go into the field. The amazing care we had from the nurses, the NPs, the neonatologists. They're some of the most incredible people I've ever, whoever cared for me and my family. They were heartbroken when he passed, and they were like our family in that 2 week period when we basically lived at that hospital. They were our family, and we love those people forever. They always hold a big place in our heart. Afterwards, I thought, of course, nursing school is not in it for me, at least not right now. I'm not going to be able to go through with this. There's just no way. I'm grieving. My family and I are just going through so much. My daughter needs me, but something happened during that period. And of course, everybody was completely supportive. Nobody was saying, no, you just need to press on and, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just go for it. But everybody understood either way. And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I want to do this for him. And I actually was inspired to work in the NICU once I finished nursing school. And so I just went for it. I gave it my all, and it was hard. It was the hardest experience of my entire life. Obviously, not just trying to get through my program, but trying to grieve and trying to heal with my family. And it was just incredibly difficult. I don't wish that experience upon anybody. But I was very, very grateful and very fortunate to be able to finish the program. And I finished second in my class. And I was a very, very competitive student. And I'm truly grateful. As hard as it was, I made it through. My family and I made it through, and we're stronger now as a result. And I've had a pretty successful profession as a nurse. I actually was able to train for 6 months in the NICU, but it just was too slow. I kept losing hours, and they kept sending me home. So I told my boss, I said, look, I need to come back. The ER is always busy. It's always popping off in there. So I need my hours. I got to be able to make a living. So I went back to the ER and never turned back.
Yeah, that's one thing about the ER. Like, you never get floated, okay, typically, and you are always busy. Always. It's never, that's one thing that I did like about the ER when I was in the ER, but it's one thing that I didn't like about the ER was I left the ER. It was just like, this is too much. I'm done. So now tell me a little bit about, you guys decided that you wanted to adopt. And so tell us about that experience, and tell us what, instead of just trying to have another child, so what led you down the adoption trail?
Yes, ma'am. When we were in South Dakota, so now my son and my daughter, I met them when my son was 2 weeks old and she was 2 at the time. They were through extended family. We got to meet them, and throughout my son's first year, we were able to help care for him. His legal guardian at the time we're really close to, but she had her hands full with her children who were some special needs. And so being it just our only daughter at the time, we said, you know what, let us help you out. Let us take him to his doctor's appointments. Let us take him. We had stays in the ER with him. We took him to the children's hospitals. He had a lot of health problems at the time, and we became really close to them. They were picked up by another amazing, loving family, and they were set to be adopted by them. And then a couple of years later, when we were in South Dakota, we get a phone call, and we were told that, the family, for whatever reason, just wasn't able to commit to it. They weren't able to adopt these children if nobody else takes them. If nobody else, wants to care for these kids, they're going to go back in the system, and you might not ever see them again. And at the time, I'm still a new nurse. We don't have a whole lot. I only have experience with my daughter. We're still kind of grieving for my son. And I'm just like, we just live in a small apartment. We don't really have a whole lot. How are we going to do this? But I knew that in my heart, I knew I couldn't let these kids go. I knew the first time I held my son when he was just a little, 2-week-old, tiny little infant, he was so precious. And at the time it was pretty fresh after my son had passed, and I just broke down, and I thought, it's so weird. I have this strange connection with this little tiny infant, and I'm still hurting at the same time. It was just such a weird thing, but I just knew I had a connection with him and his sister. And so I took another chance. My wife and I, we prayed, we thought, we debated, and I said, you know what, these kids are going to be ours. And so we fought. I worked hard. I worked more hours. We upgraded our apartment. We got a new minivan, and now we have two beautiful, amazing kids. My 11-year-old girl, she just turned 11. She couldn't talk when she was 2 years old. She could barely walk. Or unfortunately, the way she was treated with the parents who, abused drugs, unfortunately, made some poor decisions. And she didn't have she didn't have any social skills. She can barely communicate, barely walk. But now she can't stop talking. And she...
At 11 years old, listen, that, I tell people all the time, people, they probably have different reactions to what I say. I didn't like my daughter from 11 to 23. Not at all. Not at all. I loved her, but I didn't like her. Okay. Sure. And so at 23, she finally came around, and I finally came around. I'm like, we're the best of the best together now. But Lord, whew, it was rough. During those teenage years, right there in the middle school, I was like,
Yeah.
In this town, if they still do it, like, they wear uniforms in middle school because it's such a rough time, right? Mm-hmm. That's the only time, like all the schools, they wear uniforms. It's such a rough time for them because people say things about your clothes that you have on and things of that nature, and so it's been interesting. So I love the fact that she is now talking your head off. Okay, hopefully she'll be nice about it. All right.
No, she truly is. I call her my sweet girl because she is. She's so sweet. She's so kind. She just has the biggest heart. I am just so blown away and blessed every single day. She loves to paint and draw pictures and practice her violin. And she is just the kindest little person to everybody around her. And same with my son. He's such a sweet dude. Our teachers are always remarking how kind and compassionate they are towards the other students and their friends. And he always called him, he's my mighty tiny. He's such a strong dude, but he's been so little since he was just a baby. And so we are just beyond blessed. We took a chance. We had no idea what we were doing and what the outcome would be, but we just had faith and we just went all in, and I would never change a thing. And a kind of a side blessing with that, if I may, during that time, we had to become licensed foster parents for a year. We had to foster, the state law says that you just have to foster the kids for a year before you legally adopt. So no problem. And at that time, we are asked by the DSS if we would be willing to provide respite care for certain foster families. And we said, sure, we'll take some infants, some toddlers for the weekend so they can go out and, hang out and do their thing and get refreshed. No problem. But we said no teenagers. We have no experience, and we just can't. We don't have the time, the patience. We just can't do it. One Thanksgiving Eve in the middle of the night, we got a phone call from from a DSS agent, and hey, we have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old girls and their sisters. They were just taken into care. They're in our office. We have no relatives. We have nobody to send these girls to. If nobody takes them, they're going to just have Thanksgiving in our office. And so I talked to my wife, and we prayed, and we told them no. And we originally told the system, no, we can't deal with this. This would be insane for us to try to deal with, teenage girls at this time. But we always cook a lot for Thanksgiving. We always have a plethora, just an immense amount of food. So we're just like, you know what? Okay, they can have Thanksgiving with us. They can spend the weekend with us, no problem. So we got them in. We had a great Thanksgiving together. It was heartbreaking, them sharing their stories with us and learning, that the traumas and the pain that they've experienced from their families and, how they've been treated as children. And we thought it was going to be a weekend. And then 5 weeks later, they're still with us.
Wow.
And then they go to a family, and we became really close to that family too. And that family ended up adopting the older sister, and the younger sister ended up going with some other relatives, and they ended up adopting their younger siblings as well. And fast forward to just this last spring, we actually had one of the younger girl living with us for a little while, and then she decided she didn't want to go with us to South Carolina. Totally understandable. She wanted to be closer to her family, so she went and lived with close relatives. And then the older one graduated with honors, and she got a scholarship to university. She's going to travel the world. She wants to do social work. She is learning. I think she was learning Vietnamese. And during her graduation, we walk around and she would introduce me as dad to her friends. She says that I was the only father figure she ever had, growing up, and I was just like, I was just so blown away. Just these little side blessings I will never forget, and I will always be grateful for. Just taking that step of faith and just giving it your best. And that's it. Even though we felt like we were not prepared, and who can be, like having these two kids, pop in your lap at the last minute. But gosh, I am just so beyond blessed and so grateful that we got to have that opportunity and have these relationships forever.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that God brings you to it. He will bring you through it, right? And it really is a testament to, kids and how if they have a structure behind them, like a lot of people, I think at times they struggle with structure, right? Because they want to be their child's friend. But the one thing that I have noticed, and this is one of the things that our children do with our grandchildren, because we have 8 grandchildren, and 5 children, one of the things that I've noticed is that the structure that they have with their children and the positive reinforcements that they have with their children is literally like they're grown up to be these amazing human beings. And so I'm super excited about you just coming into these little humans' lives, right? And making a difference, because that will definitely make a difference as they grow older, and maybe they won't put you in a nursing home. Maybe you'll be able to stay out of a nursing home. So now let me ask you something about, you became the RN, you moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Maybe before you moved to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, we'll have to have some dinner whenever we get down there, okay? Because we come to Myrtle Beach probably about 4 to 5 times a year. Like we love Myrtle, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about you doing the licensed financial professional. Like, what even made you want to do that?
Right. So at the time, I got a job full-time shortly after we moved out here. I've been a traveler for many years. I wanted to be closer to home. I wanted to work in my own backyard. So I got a job with one of the local hospitals. I immediately became pretty dissatisfied, and the pay was just, I had to work a lot of overtime, and I thought I could make it work, but it just wasn't working. So I knew I needed to go back to traveling. During searching for jobs, I came across a post in one of the travel nurses' Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And I met my recruiter. Now he's my senior broker. He was prospecting for new agents, for new professionals. Immediately, I thought it was a scam, but something inside me just said, just find out, just see what it's about. Just don't commit to anything. Just sit down with him, talk with him, just kind of, dip your toe in the water to see what's going on. And immediately I found out that this is a very legitimate, very incredible opportunity. And him and his wife are full-time in the business, and they've been for several years now. They came from an IT specialist background, and we're making IT money. It's it's okay. And they had a couple $100,000 in debt with student loans and credit cards. Wow. And through the business, they've become so wildly successful. They were able to eliminate their debt completely in a couple of years, and now this year they're on track for a 7-figure income.
Good job. Yeah.
And they're not a one-off. There are so many agents. Zero financial background. None of us have MBAs or PhDs or anything. We're not stock gurus or anything like that. We just have been trained how to help clients, how to assess their individual unique financial needs and help provide them fiscal solutions. And many people trust us, and they give us referrals, and a lot of our agents are able to build successful businesses off it. And I was blown away. And so I went all in. I became licensed, and now I have a couple of clients, and I have a new business partner. And it's just incredible, the potential with this business that can take somebody from, just an RN, or we have police officers, rad techs, truck drivers, just other professionals with no financial education or background. And they become wildly successful. They work from home, replace their income, don't work at the bedside anymore. Or they still like being a nurse, or they still like their profession, and they just make some income on the side. And it's either way, it's incredibly beneficial for anybody who's looking for a different opportunity. And I know to be honest, since COVID, I've been kind of burned out, and I was kind of becoming one of the statistics, the 68% of us in 2023, they found 68% of nurses are becoming burned out. And that was an increase from 2021 when it was 57%. And so, after COVID, a lot of us retired, or we became tired of what we do. Where shortages, staffing, ratios, pay, everything. It is what it is. Our profession is very demanding, and it despite our best intentions of wanting to help people and do a great job, we oftentimes just overwork ourselves, and we just get burned out, and that's just the hard reality. And so I found this as being an alternative for me, so where I don't have to work as much, and hopefully one day I don't have to travel, and maybe I can earn enough to be able to get away from the business entirely and enjoy what I'm doing. And I tell you, my number one passion isn't nursing. I love the opportunity to help patients and their families. I love to be able to take care of people, but my passion is to be at home with my family. And I love that more than anything in the world. And if there's something that I can be good enough at to earn enough to be able to be at home full time, I'm all in, 100%.
I love that, because I think that some people don't like my idea when I first became a nurse, when I first became, anything before. My idea was that I would be sitting on the back porch with my husband and drinking tea in a rocking chair. That was my idea. But what I didn't realize at the time was there's something that you got to do in order to make that happen, right? Like, you got to have an exponential amount of financial independence in order to make that happen. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't see the end goal of what that would look like until I went into business. I knew the nursing home would get me there, right? I got all the degrees, the first, the second, the third, the fourth. I got them every last one of them: LPN, RN, BSN, MSN, DNP. And it was just, people were telling you to go back to school, because that's the ideology, and that's the thing that they, people fixate on in nursing. But the reality is that if you don't have a job that's gonna mitigate that you need for that, then there's no reason for you to even do that, number one. And there is no guarantee that you're going to get to where you need to be. And so I found that thinking outside the box and owning your own business is the way to be, especially if you've been in nursing for any lengthy amount of time. Unless you just want to be at the bedside taking care of patients for the rest of your life with a master's or a DNP, and then not really getting paid not what you're worth, but getting paid your rate, because you go back to school to get those degrees. They cost money, right? And so you want to have a return on your investment. So I'm incredibly, I really, really like what you're doing. So before we get into how the people can find you, we have a set of rapid fire questions that we have for you. So are you good? These have nothing to do with nothing. I just gonna ask these questions. Are you good with them? You ready? All right. I want people to know how to find you at the end of the day, right? All right. So now, what has been your most rewarding thing about nursing?
I guess it would be providing care and compassionate care, and providing things to people that not everybody else is willing to do.
I love it. I love it. What do you think is the most common misconception about nursing?
That you're going to go in and you're going to make a great income, and I mean, all your problems are going to go away, and you're just going to, be top nurse and get your Daisy Award, and life's going to be great.
It doesn't work like that. All right. What are you reading now? Are you reading anything now, book wise?
I reread The Retirement Miracle that describes in detail one of our cornerstone products in the business, and as well as another retirement book. And I'm just trying to get educated and trained as best I can on the programs and services we provide to our clients and their families, so that I'm able to best help them meet their needs. Just like when I would study for nursing and learning about procedures and medications, and I want to be able to know this stuff so that I can answer their questions, and so I can provide the best possible patient care that I can.
I love it. I love it. Retirement. I have to look that up. Now, what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned in business?
I think first and foremost that really anybody can do this. It's not rocket surgery. It's not one of the pioneers in this business didn't come from a financial background. He was drowning in credit card debt. He wanted a way out. He was driven. He knew what he needed to do. He didn't know how exactly. He got into the business around close to 40 years ago, and he's about to pass a $37 million business down to his daughter.
Wow.
Anybody can do this, literally. That's the biggest lesson I've learned so far. And people are actually happy doing this. They really are. I thought I was getting into a cult, because I go to all these meetings, all these smiling faces, and everybody's encouraging each other, high-fiving each other. Yeah, you got your first client, you got your first business partner. It's like, why is everybody, what are they going to ask me to do, or do something weird, or pay some ridiculous, astonishing fee or something? But no, everybody's just very, very grateful to be here, and they're excited to be able to help the new guy.
I love it. Nursing makes you so cynical. I swear. Who is a leader, living or dead, that you would want to have a conversation with?
First, of course, it'd be Jesus, I feel like.
I love it. I don't think I've ever had that answer before. I love it. I love it. Okay. Now, what is your favorite movie?
Dumb and Dumber.
It is a funny movie. Now, I do have to admit that it is a funny movie. Now, how do you define success? I think we know that, but go ahead. You tell us. Because you said it in the...
How can I help people in the most meaningful way and enjoy? How much can I give to people from what I have, and how much time and energy and investment can I give to my family?
Now, where can people find you?
They can find me they can email me, my Facebook page, and I need to get an Instagram set up. I'm still kind of new to this, marketing myself and that sort of thing, but I'll leave them ways they can find me. No problem.
Okay. What's your email?
It is Dale. DALE.M as in Matthew, my middle name, .showers@gmail.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, if y'all want some financial freedom, y'all go out there and find Dale, and he'll work it out for you. Like, share, comment. We look forward to seeing you on our next masterclass. It's going to be amazing. We can't wait to see you there. And Dale, thank you for showing up today so that we could find out how nurses can make a different way. You're amazing. And thank you for the services that you provide. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.